I testified for the 9/11 Commission behind closed doors. I was not the only one, because there's rumors I was the only one. No, I was not the only one. There were other people that testified behind closed doors. But I was, remember, the minion, the person that was going to run for office, their hero. And my testimony, when they came out with the final report, 576 pages, doesn't appear anywhere. I made 27 people available from my experience. They were never called. 15 firefighters were never called. 650 employees of my company that were in the building were never called. Now, when you do an investigation, you have to do every inquiry possible, anywhere. Do you agree? Yes. Do you agree? Yes. Whether it's an allegation, whether it's true, whether it's wrong, you have to check everything. Now, on 9/11, I called my office. It was a beautiful day. It was a beautiful Tuesday. And I called my supervisor, his name Anthony Saltalamacchia. And I say, Anthony, I'm not going to work. And he went crazy. No, you got to make it to work. What's wrong with you? Come. Because nobody wanted to do my job. Again, remember, it's 110 flights of stairwells. So if I took off from work, that meant that somebody had to do my job. Rodriguez routine, no, I'm going home too. And people would leave because they didn't want to do it. So of course, he begged to me to go to work. And I said, okay, I'm going to be late. I made it at 8:30 in the morning, 8:30. And I went straight to the basement, number 1 of the tower. The building has 6 sub-levels of basement, B1, B2, all the way down to B6. Our support office for American Building Maintenance, that was the company that I worked for, was located on B1. So I went there, I'm talking to the supervisor, in front of the door, when all of a sudden, at 8:46, talking to him, there's 14 people in the office, we hear, boom! An explosion so powerful and so loud that pushed us upwards in the air coming from below. And it was so powerful that all the walls cracked, the false ceiling fell on top of us, the sprinkler system got activated, and everybody started screaming in horror, help, 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 because we didn't know what was going on. Everybody screaming. The first thing that comes to my mind is that a generator just blew out on the mechanical room. The mechanical room was located right below us on the B2 basement number 2. And that's where you have all the generators, all the water pumps, all the machinery for the elevators. Everything was there. But I'm speculating. I'm speculating. I'm saying it's a generator to myself. Not that it ever was a generator, because I never know what it was. I never find out what it was. But when I went to verbalize it, because everybody's screaming in horror, we hear, bah! And an explosion all the way on the top of the building. And that was the plane hitting the top. 2 different events, separated by almost 7 seconds. Different events. And when we hear that, remember, the building was designed to oscillate. And it shakes from side to side so much that you could hear the walls cracking. And everybody's screaming in horror, help, help! But nobody's moving. Everybody's like paralyzed. And all of a sudden, from the corridor, this person comes running in, hands extended, saying, explosion, explosion, explosion. His eyes in horror, and his hands extended. And when I looked at him, he had something hanging from the top of the fingertips that looked like clothing. And when I see that, and he get closer, ladies and gentlemen, I realized it was his skin was pulled from under his armpits on both arms, and it was peeled off, and it was hanging from the top of the fingertips. It was a black guy named Felipe David, a Honduran from a company called Aramark, who I did not know. I never met that guy before. And his skin is hanging. As he gets closer, everybody's screaming in horror. As he gets closer like this, all this part of his face is hanging. It's hanging. And when we see that, again, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And his red shirt, because it wasn't red, it was soaked in blood. I said, don't move, please don't move. I went inside the office to pick up the phone, to call the emergency medical unit that was located on the south tower. You see, the north tower and the south tower connected through the basement. And they were very fast to respond. When I went to pick up the phone, pa! Another explosion. The building shook so much and the floor started moving below us that people thought that it was an earthquake. And they started going inside the office under the door frames thinking that it was an earthquake. And they're piling up over there, screaming, help, help, help. My supervisor, Anthony Saltalamacchia, is screaming, it's a bomb, it's a bomb. Not that it was a bomb, but he survived, like I did, the bomb of 1993. On 1993, a bomb was placed on that tower on February 27, and it killed 6 people, injured 1,000 people, and he's acting by osmosis. He's reacting to an experience. But nobody's helping Mr. Felipe David because he's there, his hand extended. So I took a towel and I put it around him. You see, this was 2001. When you have the AIDS scare, nobody will touch anybody with blood. Nobody. And the guy is like, you know, they're in shock. Put the towel around, put it on my shoulder with the help of the other guy. There was another guy there. And we start screaming, let's get out of here. Follow me, follow me, follow me. Let's get out. And I start leading the way from the office to the loading dock, from the loading dock down, then up to a hill outside the building. When I get outside the building, there's an ambulance coming. I stop the ambulance, put Mr. Felipe David inside. He goes into a coma. And you know, when a person goes into a coma, they start putting adrenaline. They go crazy trying to revive him. And this is going at the same time I hear, a plane hit the building, a plane hit the building. There was a security guard standing in front of the loading dock entrance. This was the guy that let trucks go in. And he's saying the plane hit the building. But when I look at him, he's not talking. It's his radio. The radio is doing a transmission saying that the plane hit the building. When I look at him, he's looking up, and everybody is looking up. So I turn around, and when I look up, what do I see? I see the hole, I saw the fire, I saw the debris coming down, but the smoke was so dense that it covered the top of the building. The building, the North Tower, the one that was hit first, was the one with the antenna. Now, I could not see the antenna. And as I look up, but remember, it was an illusion, because when you're at the base of a tall building and you look up, you really cannot see the top. So when I look up and I cannot see the top, I start screaming, oh my God, the people from Windows, the people from Windows. And I meant the people from Windows of the World, that restaurant that was located on the 106th floor. And you see, it was a miracle that I'm out there saying that. Miracle. Why? Because if I was there on time at 8 o'clock, I will always go and do my cleaning routine from the top of the stairwells all the way on the top of the building, down. And I was there every morning at 8 o'clock because they gave me breakfast for free. And when they give you something for free, you're going to be there on time. Am I right? So I'm there screaming, we got to go back, we got to go back. And nobody wanted to go back. My supervisor saying, Willie, you stay here, you're not going back in. And I said, you know what, forget you. Okay, it wasn't forget you, but I said, forget you. And I went to the security guard, I took the radio, and I started running back inside the building, through the loading dock down, straight to the South Tower. And the reason that I went to the South Tower was because after the bomb of 1993, the Port Authority spent $155 million retrofitting security, making the building stronger because of what happened on 93, you know, reinforcing the walls. And they set up something called the OCC, which was called the Operation Control Center, which was a center that controlled everything that was emergency. And I went there to let them know that there was a person injured outside the building. So I go there with the radio, and that was supposed to be manned 24 hours a day. And I start hitting the window, help, help, help. There was nobody there. There were people there earlier because there were transcripts of people being there earlier. But where were they when I was hitting the window? So I'm screaming, a person comes from below named Jimmy Barrett. Jimmy Barrett comes up, I said, Willie, what's going on? He was on the basement of the South Tower, and he never heard anything. And that gives you an indication how many people probably died without ever knowing what was going on. And I say, you got to get out. This just happened, an explosion, a person with a skin hanging. Went through the whole process, and when I looked to the side, between the South Tower and the North Tower, there was an employee entrance for the Marriott Hotel. There was a hotel called the Marriott Hotel. There was a podium there, like this one, and there was a Hispanic Latino lady there trembling. She was the one that signed people in. And I went over there and said, what are you doing here? Get out now. And she said, I heard everything, but I cannot leave because I'm a new employee and I don't want to get fired. The ignorance, because we didn't know what was going on. And remember, we're not getting the transmission. You have over 1,000 people using 2 frequencies just at the World Trade Center. On top of that, those heroes, my heroes, the firemen, their radio failed. Their radios failed. They were not getting transmission as they were supposed to. You know, you here were getting better information about what was going on inside the building than we did being inside the building. On top of that, and remember, right now, and this is an aside, you have ex-Mayor Giuliani running for President of the United States on their 9/11 ticket. While the families and victims, most of them feel the same. As a matter of fact, I must tell you that a couple of weeks ago, the Firemen's Union exposed Giuliani for using 9/11 for running for political office and blame him for being part of all the mistakes that happened on that day. We blame him for many of the issues, especially when he, cutting the budget, gave the heroes lower quality radios to save money. Now, what you have here is a constant manipulation of our event to do this. Now, on top of that, you have to realize that when 9/11 was going on that day internally, that lady didn't know. I pushed that lady out. Get out, get out, get out. Pushed it out of the building with Jimmy Barrett. We went back to the North Tower. And the reason we went back to the North Tower, all the water is there. The sprinkler system, remember. And when I get there, I only found one person, a guy that worked for the recycling company. And he said, I hear screams, I hear screams. But we couldn't hear anything because of the water sound. The World Trade Center had more than 150 elevators. So I put my ear in one of the elevators, was called the K6 car. And when I put my ear, what do I hear? 2 people screaming, help, 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 and something that I never forget and shocked me. Said, we're gonna drown. And I couldn't understand why they were saying that. There were 2 people there that apparently, later I find out when the explosion happened in the basement, they went to cover themselves on this elevator. The door closed, because it was a freight elevator, the door closed this way, and instead of going up, they went down, they lost power, they got encapsulated between 2 levels, between the B2 and the B3 floor. And they're encapsulated, and all the water from the sprinkler system was going in, but wasn't coming out at the same rate. And they're screaming that they're going to drown. Now, remember what I told you. I was agnostic. And at that moment I said, God, please help me, help me. With such a devotion, with such a soul, my entirety, my soul was praying for these people. Please help me. And when I look down, what do I find? In an area that was supposed to be totally clean of debris, construction debris, I found a metal pipe. Took the metal pipe, and with the help of the other guy, we opened the door. The door opened up this way. Once the door at the bottom hits my level of the feet, all the water that is on my side goes rushing in. That's when there's no elevator there. I look down. When I look down, I see these 2 people. Help! Help! And you're going to ask me, how was I able to see them? Because it was a freight elevator. And freight elevators don't have a ceiling, a roof, like a regular elevator. It's just a metal mesh, and you can see through. And when I look down, there's two guys with water up to here. One of them, Salvatore Giambanco, a painter for the Port Authority who I did not know. I never met this guy before, and a delivery guy. And again, we don't know how to help him. And again, I said, God, please help me. And like a flash came to my mind that in the area where you have the trash compactors for the towers, the electricians always had ladders that they used for changing light bulbs, changing cables, but they always tied them up to a pole with chains and a lock so nobody would steal them, because it was at the loading dock entrance. You could go with a delivery truck and say, oh, nice ladder, and steal it. I still have one. So I'm running over there saying, God, please, let me find one. Let me find one. And I ran there, and they were all tied up and chained and locked, except one of them. The longest one of all of them was there to save these people. And I picked that up, and I went back. We dropped it inside. We went inside. And you know those stories of people in difficult situations have an adrenaline rush, and they have strength that they don't know where it comes from? Because we were able to pull these two guys with basically one hand out of the elevator. We got them outside, put them in an ambulance, and I start running again down the loading dock inside the building while everybody's going, don't go back, don't go back, don't go back. And I started talking in Spanish because I didn't want to be stopped. No, yo tengo que volver para atrás porque no quiero que me paren porque mis amigos están... And what did he say? Because I didn't want to be stopped. I wanted to get to my friends. And when I get down there, I only found one person, Police Officer David Lim, in charge of the K9 unit, those dogs that smell for bombs and explosives bombs and drugs. He was the one in charge of that. And he said, Willie, do you have the key? Do you have the key? And he meant, did I have the master key? There were 5 master keys in the building on that day. The people with the other 4 were trained on egress, escape, rescue, first aid, everything. And I have the other key. And the reason that I had that key was because in 1996, while I was mopping the floors, I sleep on the stairwell, and this is the stairwells. I sleep a whole set of stairwell, hurt my back, and the company never sent anybody to look for me. So I sued the company, and I sued the Port Authority on an arbitration labor case, and I won the master key, and this is the master key. This is the master key. And we call this the key of hope because thanks to this key, hundreds of people were saved on that day. And the reason is this key was so important was because the World Trade Center was a Class A building, and under the building codification of the state of New York, any skyscraper will need to have an encasement system in case of a fire. As you can see here, that means that 3 doors on the World Trade Center on the escape routes, 3 doors will not open, then one will open. Then 3 doors again will not open on the stairwells, then one will open, consecutively all the way to the 110th floor. And that's why this key was important, because in 1996, that's why you have 1,000 injuries, because they spent so much time breaking those steel doors to pry them open. So I said, yes, I have the key, let's go. And we made it to the lobby. When we made it to the lobby, the firemen are there with something called a fire access key, which is a key that they will put on any elevator, and if the elevator is up, will come down. If it's down, will come up to save the time, to save time, and they will go and take it. So I say, yes, let's go. And the police officer is saying, don't wait for the elevator, follow him, he knows the best way to go up, and he has a master key. So we started going up the stairwell, And those heroes again, my heroes, can't stop saying it, it was a memory that I could never forget for the simple reason that as we go up, they have the most difficult time going up the stairwells because they have between 55 to 125 pounds of equipment in their backs. Have you seen something called the Jaws of Life, which is a machine that if you have a car accident will break they have that, they have drills, they have a guy called the tank oxygen man. We have 2 tanks and change the tanks for somebody else. But as we went up the stairwell, people coming down were bumping onto us constantly, which made our process of going up very difficult, extremely difficult. As we go up, people coming down, bumping onto us. We said on the 3rd floor, let's change. So let's go by the A staircase. The World Trade Center had 3 stairwells, A, B, and C. So we went by the A stairway, which was the one that faced the area that was hit by the plane. As we go up, I started opening doors and letting people out. Opening doors, letting people out. That key opened all those doors. Those heroes will go in because firemen go as a unit. They go in as a unit. They go in and they spread. And they look for the offices to bring people out, and they just reunite and get out. That's how they do it. So, opening doors and letting people out. But then I found myself sometimes 2 and 3 floors above the firemen opening doors. I said, what's going on? These people are not the same rate as I'm going up. What I didn't understand at that moment was that, number one, I did not have any equipment in my back. I did not have any protective gear. I didn't have the helmet, the fireproof vest, the boots. And on top of that, I did the stairwells every single day. For 10 years, I was doing that stairwell. I was in better physical condition than the firemen. Well, at least at that time, because I think I have to do the stairwells again. So I'm going up, and I'm like, what's going on? And again, you know, those heroes are not going at the same rate because they are trying to go into every office. And as I go up, I hear, pa, pa, pa! 3 huge explosion, and I was like, what was that? And I got so scared that I went down and I went to the fireman and I said, what was that? What was that? And he said, it must be the gas tanks blowing up in the kitchens. It must be the gas tanks blowing up in the kitchens. The kitchens, ladies and gentlemen, were all electrical. That did not make sense. The World Trade Center was a Class A building. Anybody in construction here will tell you that that's hazmat, hazardous material. It's not allowed. So, of course, I wasn't going to have an argument with that guy at that moment. Yeah, okay, gas tanks, all right, yeah, okay. So I went up and I continued, but it was so huge that it stayed in the back of my mind. So I continued opening doors and letting people out, up to the moment that somebody, 2 guys, came down on the stairwell, and one of them said, there's a man on a wheelchair on the 27th floor, and he's having problem breathing. He cannot breathe. And I said, what can I do? I don't know what to do. So I went back down, and I told the firemen, and they said to me, don't worry, we're going to make it there. But he's going to be the last person that we take out. And I got angry because I found that to be very insensitive. I said, this is a man on a wheelchair. He cannot walk. And this guy is telling me that he's going to be the last one being taken out. What I didn't understand, and I want you to understand this, that in a matter of an emergency, handicapped people is always left for the last. Because imagine you coming down with a wheelchair on this stairwell, the queue of people trying to escape, able bodies, will be trapped behind the wheelchair. But I didn't understand that. That was explained to me by one of the fire chiefs after 9/11. I was angry at that moment. I said, all right, But we continue going up until the moment that I get to the 27th floor. When I get to the 27th floor, I open the door. When I open the door, these heroes went in, and each one by one, collapse on the floor because they have no more stamina left. They went 27 floors up with all that equipment in their back. They have no strength left. And as they collapse on the floor, I say, oh my God, oh my God. And the police officer, David Lim, said to me, Willie, do you know this floor? And I said, yes. He said, where can we get water? He said, well, on the opposite side, there's a water vending machine. The bottles, the water bottles. And he said, let's go. I said, what? Was this type of bottles? He said, let's go. I said, let's go. I said, oh, man. I'm looking in my pocket. I have no change. He said, oh, man. Yeah, because I was worried. How am I going to buy those things? And when we get there in front of the machine, David Lim starts breaking the glass of the machine with his boot. Pa, pa, pa. And I'm like, buddy, you're breaking the law. That's a cop breaking the machine. And I say, I'm the Puerto Rican here. I'm getting out of here. He's going to blame me. He's going to blame me. Because I was worried. He's going to blame me. But then we start taking trash cans, and we start taking the bottles and putting them on trash cans, and we distribute them to the firemen. We looked here, here, here. We gave it to all of them. And that's when I see inside the office somebody's using a phone. And I said, phone service. Let me call my mother. And you see, I come from the island of Puerto Rico. Small island in the Caribbean. Ricky Martin. Jennifer Lopez. You know that one. But I wanted to call my mother to let her know that there was an accident in the building. And what a surprise. She picks up the phone, and she's screaming, what are you? What are you? I say, Mom, I'm in the building. What? Remember, we didn't know that the whole world was watching this. And she's screaming, get out now, get out of the building. And I said, Mom, I'm okay. I'm complete, nothing is missing. Nothing is missing, and I'm helping these people because they don't know what they're doing. And I have the master key. And she's like, get out, don't go to the fire, don't go to the fire. And ladies and gentlemen, I lied to my mother because I said, don't worry, Mom, I'm not going to the fire. I will get to a certain area and I will leave. And honestly, I lied to her because if it was up to me, I would have gone through the fire to get to my friends. And you know, it's sad because I've been recognized for saving so many lives, but in reality, I never saved a single one of my friends. I never made it to the top. And this is sad. It stays with you because you suffer something called survivor's guilt. Why did I survive and they didn't? Why are you here and they're not? And it's not easy. It stays with you like an imprint for the rest of your life. I hung up the phone and I'm getting calls on the radio by the supervisor of the building. Willie Rodriguez, location. I'm on the 27th floor. I'm with the firemen. I'm helping them. Abandon the building, abandon the building. And I'm like, I can't. You know, I'm helping these people. As a matter of fact, you can get the actual transcripts from the fire department website, and you can hear the conversation. So I shut off the radio because I didn't want to be bothered by him either. And I continue by myself up the stairwells, still opening doors and letting people out, up to the moment that I get to the 33rd floor. And the reason that I went to the 33rd floor, it was empty at that moment because I went around the corridor and there's nobody. And when I go to the corner, what do I find? a lady, a blonde lady, no shoes, on the floor, holding herself. And I said, what are you doing here? Get out, get out, get out. And she said, I'm a new employee here. I don't know where to go. Ladies and gentlemen, the World Trade Center had fire drills only twice a year. With 50,000 workers in that building, it was immoral.